So we just heard from Margaret about the history of smoke signals. And what I want to talk about now is how they are created and used. So my main goal is to discuss how smoke signals are produced and how they are interpreted. Therefore, I will start with where they are placed, how the smoke signals are actually created, and what the different signals mean. So let's get started. To create an efficient smoke signal, it must be able to be seen. According to the Telecommunications History Group's website, it's best that you place your fire on top of a hill or in an elevated area that can be seen from a distance. We know from the history of smoke signals that not just one group used them, so they can be found in various parts of the world with all different types of landscapes, but what's important to remember is that if you make one, it needs to be able to be seen by the receiver. Moving on to how they're created. There are some basic tools that you need to start a smoke signal. You need firewood, a blanket, and then something to light the fire, and also something to keep the fire going. This is important because you need smoke to make a smoke signal, and you just need that. So basically what you need to start off with is a stack of firewood, and once you get that, you want to light that, and once you get a spark, you want to fan the flames so that you can keep the fire strong, so that you can keep making smoke signals until you don't want to send any more messages, essentially. But according to the Telecommunications History Group, most messages are relayed through 1 to 3 puffs of smoke that are created by covering it and uncovering a fire with a blanket. So now I'll talk about the different signals and what they mean. So while looking at the Indians.org webpage, a website created to preserve Native American history, I found that the most common messages were one puff. One puff of smoke meant pay attention, hey, pay attention to what's coming next. 2 puffs meant, hey, everything is okay. And 3 puffs of smoke meant that there was danger, but also another signal that they would use was lighting 3 fires in a row, and you would see long streams of smoke up in the air, and that also meant danger or that they needed help. So all of these messages and signals were thought of ahead of time by the sender and receiver, and this was to ensure secrecy. These were the most common signals, but groups would only use this system if they knew their enemies weren't aware of what the signals were. So if they ever suspected that their enemies could decode the signals, then they would usually just change the different meanings, or they would change the signals themselves. So that was a little bit about how smoke signals worked. We discussed that fires should be placed in an elevated location, that signals were created by covering and uncovering fires with a blanket, and that there are specific signals decided on by the sender and receiver to relay certain information. That's smoke signals in a nutshell, and now I'm going to pass it on to Jamie and GoTurk, who will talk about Morse code.